Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 31 of A Year of Change. You've made it a full month. Regardless as to what month you've started in, you are at the end of the first month. So, bravo. So tomorrow will be a new month, no matter what. And you might be halfway through, but this is day 31, so it feels like a month end sort of thing. I just sort of wanted to touch the base today I had forgotten to mention yesterday that, as you were probably watching that, I was going to try to trek up the hill at work, but as luck would have it, I didn't have to go near it. I'm still there fairly early enough that I can just park really, really far away without having to go up on the hill. But chances are I'm probably going to end up having to go up there in the next couple of weeks. My schedule is going to change again. So we'll have to figure out something with recording. But it just sort of got me thinking that I don't think it's going to be too bad once I sort of get used to going up this giant fucking mountain to work. To park from work. But it got me thinking that there are a number of different things that, even though I've just sort of started there, that I've done at work that sort of might be tips and little things that you can do. Because with time constraints being what they are, it's really difficult sometimes to, especially if you're working like an overnight shift or something, it's it's tough to eat right. It's tough to sleep at all, especially if you're doing something overnight. People who don't work overnights may not get this, but for those of you that do, you never quite sleep, because you'll get calls from people at 1 in the afternoon saying, why are you still in bed? Well, because it's 1 a.m. for me, you jackass. That's why. So for all of you people that know someone that works overnight, don't call them. Just add 12 hours to whatever time that it is now, and that's what time it is for them. So if it's 3 in the afternoon, let them sleep. It's 3 a.m. for them. Fuck off. Let them have their rest. Call them at like 8 or 9 at night, and you'll be fine. Anyway, so I thought that I would just sort of talk about a few things that are a little easier to accomplish while you're at work. Just to sort of, not exactly give you a leg up, but just things that normally you can't accomplish, either because you're working overnight or because of the job that you have, or, it's long hours, whatever the case. And these aren't things like, stay up an extra hour and prepare your lunches. Because again, time is difficult. I'm sure that there are some of you out there that don't have time to watch all of these all the time, and that, you've gone behind a couple of days. Which is fine, because there's nothing earth-shattering in these. As long as you're doing it at your way in, you're probably okay. But small things, I had mentioned a few days ago that since I started there, because I'm working on the second floor, I've taken the stairs every single day. I didn't bother with the elevator because it's the second floor and doesn't really seem to matter. If I was on the fourth or fifth floor, even though stairs technically are faster, I probably wouldn't be taking them every day, because by the time I get to the top, I'd be smelly and stinky and sweaty and gross, and I don't want to sit in that all day. But second floor is fine. Although they've moved us to the first floor for the next couple of weeks, and then back up to the second floor. So I'll be doing the hill and the second floor. So anyway, it is difficult though if you're at work, especially if you're at a place that just has vending machines. If you don't have any place that you can go, again, I'm thinking back to people that work overnights and everything is closed. The only places that are normally open are fast food places or, your vending machine. So it is a little difficult to try to eat properly when you're doing that. If you're... I can't talk. I'm okay. Sorry. If you're lucky enough to be in a place where there's a cafe or a cafeteria, things might be a little bit easier, because you can hopefully find something there that isn't going to be deep fried. And I know that doesn't sound like a big change, but instead of going to McDonald's or Burger King or any of the other places that are out there, if you can get something, even if it is a burger, at a place where they can sort of control things a little more, it's probably going to be a little bit better. Another thing you can do, I suppose, is, and this is what I used to do, when if you have a short lunch, like half an hour, and you can't really go anywhere, you don't have time to eat, you don't really have time to do anything, even if you just go outside and or wander around. If you are working overnights and you're probably locked in the building, wander around. Even that little bit is going to help. It's really tough to try to explain when, especially, I suppose this is sort of focusing on people that are working overnights, but it's really tough to try to explain that it's different than working a day shift in that you don't get this, because during the day, you still have to do all the stuff that everyone else does during the day. That you still have your doctor's appointments, you still have to run errands, you still do your grocery shopping, you do all the same stuff. So it's essentially the same as someone coming home, like going to work at 8 in the morning, coming home at 6 at night, and then having to go back out to do the grocery shopping at midnight. You still have all the same stuff, let alone the people that are calling and waking you up and everything else. So your sleep schedule does get a little wonky, which is why when we first started this, I said it's easier just to track your food from midnight to midnight, because I've worked overnights, and when I started tracking and trying to keep it within waking to sleeping sort of time frame, it just never worked out, because you're getting 2 hours of sleep here, 3 hours of sleep there, and it just gets all muddled. And I realize I'm all over the place with this video, so I do apologize. So we're going to sort of refocus back in. This originally was supposed to be just little things you can do at work, like taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Obviously, again, if you're up on the 4th or 5th floor, stairs are faster. Usually, I think it's between, you have 4 or 5 floors, it's faster to take the stairs than to wait. But if you're like me and you take those, you're going to be gross for the rest of the day, and nobody wants that. So take the elevator. It's fine. If it's just 1 floor, grab 1 floor. It's not going to kill you. Even if it's only a matter of, if you're really, really, really big, really big, I can't talk at all this morning, I'm sorry. Then if it's one of those things that going up the stairs is a real labor, take the elevator. Walk down the stairs, because believe it or not, even walking down the stairs does help. It's going to be an extra 5 or 10 calories that you're going to burn instead of standing at the elevator. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but just like everything in this, if you do that every day for a year, it still doesn't sound like a lot. But you'll get used to it. It will get easier. So little things like that. And this is a small one, but it's one I used to do all the time. And it's mainly because years ago I had a spine injury. But standing up at your desk, not walking around or powerlifting or anything like that. If you have the ability to, like, if you have a job that you're sitting all the time, if you have some way of having your tray heightened up so that you can type and you can see everything properly, I used to stand up at my desk a lot for the majority of my shift. And it's so much easier on your back. I don't know, I did anyway, felt more productive. As it is now, the majority of stuff I did, I spent a lot of my day walking around and talking to different people and things like that. So I haven't had a real desk job where I'm sitting for hours and hours and hours at a time in a long time. But when I did, it was always nice to be able to stand up, even just to sort of stretch your legs and keep things going that way. But just sitting for 8 hours is horrible. Some of you may like that. That's fine. But for me, just sitting in one spot, I'm a very fidgety person, hence the picking and shuffling and everything else. So being able to stand up and still do my work was great. And I think with this, hopefully this new job will be able to do the same, because I'm sort of back at a desk job. But there's so little things like that. Taking the stairs, standing up at your desk, trying to avoid the vending machines. I know it's tough, especially when there's nothing else there. Oh my Lord, I can't talk today. So I should probably start this over, but I'm not going to. You're going to have to power through with me. If I have to deal with it, you have to deal with it. Sorry, it's much worse trying to say these words than it is trying to listen to them. I hope. So if you're in a position where all you have are vending machines, there's really not a lot you can do. The majority of the time, they're going to be filled with chips and cookies and chocolate bars and stuff like that. And trying to go for a healthy option in a vending machine is ridiculous. Although I did see one of ours at work has sardines in it and kippers in the same machine, which is really, really weird. I understand they're trying to do healthy things, but having fish, and especially a really, really strong fish. I don't know if any of you know what kippers are, but they're herring, I think. And when you open them, your house will smell for 2 or 3 days. If you like the smell of fish, it's great. You're going to enjoy it, and they taste really good. But just like sardines, it's a very strong smelling fish, and to have that available in an office setting is really weird to me. I don't understand why they would have it, but anyway. But the majority of vending machines are not going to have those things. They're going to have, you might have an apple or a banana in there at some point, but they've been in there forever, and when they drop down, they're bruised and they're gross. So it is difficult, and there are going to be times you're not going to be able to help it. You're going to, if that's all that there is, that's all that there is. And trying to do something like say, oh, well, I'll go after these baked chips or crackers because they're healthier, they probably aren't. So you might as well just enjoy yourself and have the chips. But if you can, I mean, obviously make your own lunch, take it with you, stuff like that, which is an annoyance to begin with. I was very lucky when I was working overnight. There was a grocery store that was open 24 hours, and they usually made their salads around 2 or 3 in the morning, and they were huge, huge salads, and they were really, really good. So that's when I would go on my lunch. I would go grab one of those, and to a point where it would fill you up, and I'm huge, and it would fill me up. If you have that option, go do that. It doesn't have to be just garden salad with no dressing or anything else. Again, stay practical. If you can get like a chicken Caesar salad or something with eggs, have your salad dressing on there. Enjoy it, because at any rate, it's still better than going to get 2 double cheeseburgers somewhere. But again, it's going to happen eventually at some point. You're going to end up falling and getting those. So if there are little ways that you can do things, they may seem really insignificant, but they do add up. And if you work on the 6th floor and you take 1 flight of stairs and then get on the elevator, that's going to start adding up. If you avoid having that extra chocolate bar in the middle of the night, that's going to start adding up. All these little things, just like our changes every single week, will eventually get to somewhere that it becomes sort of part of your daily routine. And when you look back, because you've done so many small changes and they've accumulated, they've made a difference. I've noticed a difference just going up the stairs. I've only been there a couple of weeks, but it's easier for me to get to the top. Sounds like I'm climbing a summit. But it's easier for me to get to the top without being out of breath and trying to hide it from people. So I suspect the same thing is going to happen with, in a couple of weeks with the parking situation when I have to start climbing up that huge hill. You do eventually get used to it. And when we start our exercise, for some of you, I don't think for any of you, it's going to be something that's going to be difficult when we first start out. Even those of you that are bedridden, it's something you're going to be able to do. And what you'll find is that the hardest one is going to be that first time, but then it is going to get easier as things go along. I was going to sort of do a little history on it, but we'll save that for the exercise. Anyway, I have been all over the place with this video. I do apologize. It is very early in the morning and not quite awake yet. So I'm going to blame that. It's not the drugs, so we're fine. But if you're in a situation where you have some time at work, maybe on your lunch or something, just think about those little things, and you don't have to do them. Just opportunities, I suppose, where you can make a little change, like the stairs, or even if it's just going down 1 flight. If you work on the 6th floor, take the elevator to the 5th and then go down 1. And no matter how small it is, it's better than what you're doing now. And that's what I really want to sort of have as the core outline for this entire program, is that these are tiny little changes that we're doing. But standing up at your desk for an hour out of your shift, accumulated. Just every time that you get a chance, stand up, stretch your legs, move around a bit, keep working. If you're on your lunch, just wander around, talk to your friends, things like that. They're small things, but they will add up. And again, it's better than what we're doing now. I used to sit for 8 straight hours at a desk. And then on my lunch, I would walk to the lunchroom and I would sit there for an hour. And by making those tiny little changes, then you're taking another step. And then once you start making those changes, you're going to notice other things that you can do that are going to make another small change. Maybe it's starting out with just going down one flight of stairs. And then after a week, you start getting off at the second floor and walking down 2 flights. It's little things like that. You're going to know when you're going to be able to make those changes on your own. It's not going to be anything that you're going to say, okay, well, I'm going to map this out, and then at week 2 I'll do this, and week 3 I'll do this, and by week 4 I'll be going to the cafeteria and eating salads. It's not going to happen that way. Once you start doing these small things, you're going to know when it's getting to a point where it's effortless, and then you'll be able to do the next one up. And I know I sort of keep coming back to the going down the stairs thing, but for some of us, that is a major step in just going down one flight of stairs. I know that for me, that even probably as close as a year ago, I never would have done that. I would have waited for the elevator, even going up one floor. So when you start doing these things, it is going to be difficult at the very, very beginning. But as they say, anything worth doing is worth doing well. But when you do get to that point where it's easier and easier and it becomes routine, then you'll know when you can add something new. So again, don't do something that is going to sort of push you over the edge. Don't say, good enough, I've walked down one flight of stairs for 2 weeks. Now it's time to walk up all 6 flights. It's ridiculous, and you're just going to quit. You're going to say, no, fuck it, not doing that again. I'm taking the elevator. So keep that in mind, that these are going to be small incremental steps that you're going to be taking. And it's going to be different for everyone. Maybe you are working daytime and you have plenty of time to do this. Maybe you have an entire hour for lunch that you can just go and stand outside and wander around. Something like that. If it's the middle of winter when you're watching this, that's probably not the best thing, but who knows? So you're going to be able to look for these things and find these things just around work that you're going to be able to do, and especially over and above the physical effort or the physical changes that are going to happen, there's a psychological difference because you're getting away from that work routine. And there are going to be days when you're working through your lunch because you don't have time. There are going to be days when you're working overtime. And these little things, they're the same reason why you have a break and why you have a lunch. It's not so that you can have something to eat and recharge. It's so that your brain has a bit of a break from it, from the stress or your customers or your paperwork or whatever it is that you do, where you can just disconnect for 15 minutes or half an hour, or if you're lucky, an hour, and get away from it. And if you can do that and take yourself out of that situation, and even if it's just not even going for an hour-long walk, just standing outside or going to a different area just to wander around, take a tour of your building, whatever it is going to help as well psychologically. And the physical aspect is just going to be a bit of a benefit. So this wasn't a very well thought out video, and I do apologize. I started on one path and just kind of just went everywhere with it. But I'm hoping that I brought it back and you didn't notice. So I'm paying attention to it. But for right now, that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.